I'll never forget the morning I realized something was wrong, sun just creeping over the hills, warming the back of my neck as I walked through my vineyard, boots crunching on the dry dirt. The rows of vines looked peaceful, leaves catching the light, grapes starting to blush with that late-season purple. But then I heard, or didn't hear, its soft hiss of the irrigation system, usually like a quiet stream under the earth, was gone, dead silent. I knelt down, brushed aside the straw mulch, and pressed my hand into the soil dry as a bone, like I was touching desert sand instead of the rich, moist earth I'd checked just 2 days before. My stomach twisted as I followed the drip lines to the pump station, then to the valve junction tied to the community water system. There it was, a shiny new padlock, glinting like it was mocking me, and a letter taped to a fence post, the HOA's logo screaming at me in bold print. As of September 1st, irrigation to Lot 22 is suspended for noncompliance and environmental review. Willow Creek, HOA. No warning, no call, no nothing, just a lock and a piece of paper telling me my life's work was about to wither. My name's Jack Ramsey, and that vineyard, it's not just a patch of dirt. 13 years ago, my wife Ellie and I bought this 5-acre plot in Willow Creek, a little community tucked in Northern California. Back then, it was nothing but weeds and gopher holes, but we dreamed it into something row by row, vine by vine, every trellis hammered in by hand, every pipe laid with sweat and hope. After Ellie passed, cancer stealing her away 4 years ago, this place became my anchor, my way of keeping her close. I'd walk the rows at dawn, talking to her like she was still there, coffee in hand, smiling at the mist. So when I saw that padlock, it wasn't just about water. It felt like someone was trying to choke out everything we'd built together. I called the HOA office, got voicemail, called again, same thing. I told myself it was a mix-up, some clerical error, because I'd always played by their rules, painted the barn when they fussed about the shade, paid a $400 fine for a compost bin they said was too rustic, even replanted my front yard to match their cookie-cutter aesthetic. But this was no mistake. By the next day, the vines were already curling at the edges, grapes looking dull, like they were giving up. I drove to the HOA office, a sterile little box in a strip mall next to a smoothie shop. The clerk, Karen, barely looked up from her computer. "Jack Ramsey, Lot 22, I said, keeping my voice steady. "Someone locked my irrigation line yesterday. I need to know why." She tapped her keyboard, glanced at the screen. Board authorized it. President Vaughn signed off. Noncompliance with water bylaws. I blinked hard. Noncompliance? I haven't changed a damn thing in years. What bylaw? She shrugged like I was asking for the weather. You'll need to request a board hearing. Next slot's in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. My vines wouldn't last 3 days. I walked out, the glass door hissing shut behind me, and stood in the parking lot, fists clenched, feeling like I'd just been sucker punched. That night, I dug through every HOA document I had, bylaws, emails, fine notices, looking for answers. The only thing close was some vague rule about water runoff during droughts, but it applied to ornamental lawns, not agricultural plots like mine. I sent an email to the HOA's inbox, attached the clause, and got nothing back. I called Richard Vaughn, the HOA president, left voicemail crickets. Meanwhile, my vines were turning yellow, the leaves brittle like watching a slow-motion death. My backup, well, couldn't handle full irrigation. It was never meant to. 5 days in, I got a tip from my neighbor Luis, who grows strawberries down the road. Heard at the last HOA meeting, they're saying you're hogging water, messing up their fancy gardens in the new phase, he said, shaking his head. Doesn't add up, Jack. You're on a timer, right? Early mornings only. I nodded, but then he leaned in. Word is, someone's pushing to get you out, says your vineyard doesn't fit their vision anymore. That hit like a brick. 2 years ago, a developer, Crestwood Holdings, offered me a fat check for my land, talking about upscaling Willow Creek into a luxury enclave. I turned him down flat. This wasn't about money, it was about Ellie, about us. Now it clicked. This wasn't about water. It was about forcing me to sell. I started documenting everything: moisture readings, photos of shriveled grapes, timestamps on every unanswered email. I wasn't just saving my vines, I was building a case. I called an old buddy, Sarah, who works at the county water office. She dug around and called back, her voice low. "Jack, this is messed up. Someone filed an anonymous complaint saying your system's tapping into emergency fire reserves. That's why they cut you off. But here's the thing, those reserves aren't even on your line." And guess who signed the motion? Richard Vaughn. My blood boiled. Vaughn, the guy who moved here from San Diego, always in a crisp blazer, preaching about elevating Willow Creek's lifestyle. He fought me over a farm stand last year, called it commercial clutter, while letting others sell crafts at Christmas. He was tight with Crestwood. I knew Itchramers had been swirling about his deals with developers. This was no accident. It was a setup to break me. I filed a grievance with the HOA, sent them everything: photos, logs, Sarah's findings. 2 days later, their response came cold as ice. Grievance reviewed, insufficient grounds to reverse. Water restriction stands. I was pacing my porch, ready to lose it, when my son Nate called. He's 27, works in logistics up in Sacramento. "Dad, you sound like you're about to storm their office with a pitchfork," he said. I laughed, but it was hollow. "They're killing the Vineyard, Nate. On purpose." He paused. "You're selling to Valley Vines, right? That big wine company? If this tanks your harvest, that's breach of contract and the HOA's messing with their deal. That a lawsuit waiting to happen." My heart skipped. Valley Vines had contracted half my harvest for their premium Chardonnay line. I fired off an email to their acquisitions head, Claire Dawson, laying it all out: the cutoff, the damage, the lies. I didn't expect a reply, but at 8:03 the next morning, my inbox pinged. "Mr. Ramsey, this is serious. Forward all evidence. Our legal team will reach out." Claire's words were sharp. No nonsense. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't fighting alone. By noon, I was on a call with their lawyer, Michael Tran, who grilled me like a detective: dates, photos, receipts, everything. "This isn't just about you, Jack," he said. "If they can do this to you, they can do it to any grower we work with. We're filing a cease and desist. And if they don't back off, we sue for tortious interference." I hung up, stepped outside, and looked at the dying vines, the sun low, casting shadows like ghosts. For the first time in weeks, I saw a fight I could win, not just for me, but for everyone they try to crush next. The HOA didn't back down, they doubled down. Code enforcement started sniffing around, citing my shed for unapproved dimensions, my fence for non-compliant height. One guy even said my barn door violated some new fire code. It was absurd, like they were making it up as they went. Then came the kick-hero letter from my bank, saying the HOA filed a $3,500 lien for unpaid fines. My hands shook as I read it. This wasn't just harassment, it was war. I sent everything to Claire, and Valley Vine's legal team shut the lien down, calling it fraudulent. But the hits kept coming. Someone dumped rotten grapes on my porch. Another left a note in my mailbox: sell and leave. I didn't crack, though. I'd faced worse 2 tours in Iraq, watching Ellie fade through chemo. This was just paper and pettiness. I wasn't going anywhere. I took the fight public, sent the whole story to the local paper, every email, every photo of dead vines, every lie. They ran it front page. Veteran farmer says HOA sabotaged vineyard for developers' gain. The town exploded. Neighbors I hadn't heard from in years messaged me. Others shared their own HOA horror story: Asagai, fined for beehives, a woman hit for her goat pen. Suddenly, I wasn't alone. Valley Vines filed the lawsuit, naming Vaughn, the board, and the HOA for sabotage, interference, and harassment. They even cited California's AG protection laws. Claire called me before the hearing. "You'll need to testify, Jack. You ready?" I didn't hesitate. Every word. The courtroom was packed reporters, farmers, even HOA folks from other towns. I wore my marine dress blues, not to show off, but because this was my stand. I told the judge everything: the vines, the lies, the nights I slept in the barn to save what I could. I handed him a report, the cost of control, with every loss. $90,000 in crops, $15,000 in future orders, years of soil damage. Vaughn sat there, stiff, his lawyers whispering, his face like a man watching his castle crumble. No ruling came that day, but the cracks were showing. Another resident sued the HOA, then another. Vaughn resigned in a 3 a.m. email, whining about media harassment. The board collapsed, replaced by a new committee: real people, not suits with agendas. The water came back on a crisp January morning. I stood by the valve, watching the pressure needle climb, hearing the drip lines hum again. I whispered to Ellie, "We did it." The judge ruled for Valley Vines and Maya's 6-figure settlement. Fines dismissed, my title clean. Neighbors helped replant. Valley Vines donated new vines. And we named one, Claire's Courage, a bold red with a bite, just like her. The town changed to open meetings, no more secret fines, a shared tool shed by the creek. We started a harvest festival, nothing fancy, just music, food, and kids running wild under string lights. It felt like home again. But here's the thing: not everyone's happy. Some still whisper I stirred up too much trouble, that I should have sold and spared the drama. I found traitors spray painted on my fence one night, red and angry. I left it there 2 days, let it sink in, then painted it white. Clean slate. Healing takes time, like planting's low, steady, rooted deep. So what do you think? Was I right to fight, or should I have walked away? Drop a comment. Tell me your take. Have you ever faced a system trying to break you? Let's talk about it.